First time I went hunting, I learned the meaning of patience. My father was much more excited about this rite of passage than I was. For weeks in advance, we sat together in a very dull, rednecked out room at the back of a bar with 10 other father and son teams, taking hunter's safety. It was very boring. What 11-year-old wants to sit in a class 3 extra hours every week on top of going to school, listening about gun safety, field dressing, which is gutting a dead animal, and all other things hunting? The place reeked of stale cigarettes and rotting wood. For 10 weeks this went on. The best part of the night was the 15-minute break we got in the middle. Classes were over in October, a couple of weeks before the 2-week deer season kicked off. My dad spent his time preparing me for what I was to do exactly when we got out of the land we hunted on. "You're going to sit down in this chair all day long, sun up to sundown," he said. What a fun weekend this was going to be, I thought. We sat in our basement night after night. We would clean our weapons one night, get our gear together the next. I had never put so much effort into something in my entire life. All this planning, all this time, just to have an opportunity to shoot a deer. An animal you see routinely around here. I just didn't get it. That Saturday finally came. All the preparation was done. I was actually excited. This would all soon be over. My dad shook me awake at 3:30 a.m. He was in top form. I, as you may guess, was not. Our bags and weapons were already packed and in the truck ready to go. I put my clothes on, stumbled my way out to the car, being as quiet as I could so we wouldn't wake my mom. The drive to the farm we hunted on was quiet. Dad didn't have much to say to me, and I was actually a bit nervous. It hadn't dawned on me that when I was going to be sitting out on the edge of a cornfield all alone in the dark for an hour or so. 45 minutes passed by, and we pulled off the highway to the farm. We got out of the truck as quietly as we could, never speaking to each other in more than a whisper. Dad got out the flashlight, and I followed him up a medium-sized hill and back down the other side of it. On the back side of this hill was the cornfield I was to sit at the edge of. I set up my chair, took my gun out of its case, and set up shop. My dad whispered, "Good luck." He took the flashlight out and disappeared out of my view. He was set up about a mile away from me, out of sight. I sat alone in the blackness of 4:30 a.m. I couldn't see any further in front of me than my outstretched hand. No sounds other than the occasional field mouse foraging on the ground through the dead leaves for food. The noise amplified because of the darkness. Once one sense is eliminated, another is heightened. Thoughts of bears roaming these woods started going through my head. It was the first time I ever felt claustrophobic outside. Shifting around in my chair alleviated the feeling a bit. After an hour, but what felt like 3, the sun started rising and all of the disturbing feelings and thoughts I was having left my head. Along with the sun rising came the sound of gunfire and the feeling of excitement. I sat and waited for an unlucky deer to cross my path. The minutes inched by with the speed of a snail. The shots being fired dissipated along with the excitement that came along with hearing them. I would stand up and move around against my better judgment, knowing that each time I did this, a potential target could be frightened away. 4 hours into the hunt, my luck changed for the better. 2 deer strolled into my view. Immediately my heart rate went through the roof and my stomach did flips. For the first time I realized why my dad loved it so much. I can't explain why, but being out in the middle of nowhere, that close to an animal, and hunting it, maybe it's the one thing that still ties us to our ancestors, a survival gene passed down through the thousands of years. The 2 deer walked closer and closer to me. I raised my weapon, took aim at the larger of the 2. I waited. Closer and closer to me still they moved. The smaller deer stopped and ducked its head down, feet on the grass. My deer kept moving. At this point, the deer was only 15 to 20 feet away. The opportunity wasn't going to get any better. I gently squeezed the trigger as if it was an extension of my hand. The kick of the gun knocked me back just enough to take my sight off the target for a split second. When I saw it again, it was on the ground and not breathing. Like all things worth doing in life, it was the culmination of a lot of hard work and time.